Hello, autumn hazers. Welcome to the channel. If you've been with me through the different life cycles of this channel, you might remember when I first spoke about stepping into my autumn season. For me, that shift began in the later part of my 40s. A quiet realization that while my life looked perfectly fine on the surface, something inside me felt disconnected. I wasn't unhappy, but I wasn't truly happy either. I had followed the script, checked the boxes, and played my part in the so-called matrix of life. Maybe I had done everything I was supposed to. Career, responsibilities, relationships. From the outside, it looked like success. But somewhere along the way, I must have swallowed a red pill that opened my eyes to a truth I could no longer ignore. I wasn't living an authentic life. For the first time, I stopped moving on autopilot. I stopped planning the next thing and asked myself a question I had avoided for years. I thought to myself, what actually makes me feel alive? And here's what hit me. The things that made me happy lived only in my dreams. They were locked away in some mental scrapbook, something I'd visit when I let myself daydream, but never believed could be real. Because life had convinced me that there was no room for them. I had responsibilities, expectations, people who relied on me. My own desires had always been placed last, and honestly, I was okay with that. For a long time, I accepted it as just the way things were, until one day I didn't. Something in me shifted. I didn't want to just maintain anymore. I didn't want to just exist in a life that wasn't truly mine. I wanted to reclaim my time, my energy, my joy. I wanted to explore a different way of living while I still could. Because here's the truth, especially for those of us at midlife. Autumn is not the end. It's the beginning of a whole new season. And for the first time in my life, I'm choosing to live it on my terms. Are you feeling that shift too? Let's talk about it in the comments. You might be wondering, what do I mean by autumn phase or autumn season in life? Maybe you've heard the term before, or maybe it's new to you. For me, this realization came just before I turned 40. I started reflecting deeply on life, on its stages and how we experience them. If our youth, the time of discovery, energy, and growth, is often referred to as the spring of our lives, then it only makes sense that the rest of our journey follows the seasons as well. Spring is when we're young, green, growing, and full of potential. Summer is the season of building, thriving, and experiencing life at full force. Autumn, where I find myself now, is where we slow down just enough to take in the beauty of what we've built. It's a time of richness, wisdom, and transformation. This phase is different. We're still in our prime, but we no longer carry the need to prove ourselves in the same way. We start discarding the things that don't matter and begin focusing on what truly brings joy, peace, and fulfillment. That's the journey I'm on now, redefining life in my autumn season, stepping into it fully, mindfully, and embracing its beauty. Instead of moving through life on autopilot, I've decided to make this chapter an intentional one, led by faith, reflection, and transformation. Of course, there's another season still to come. If we are blessed enough, we will enter winter, a phase that society often overlooks, but one that carries profound meaning. The Bible itself speaks to honoring those in their later years. Leviticus 19:32 says, "Each phase prepares us for the next." And for now, I am fully embracing my autumn season, the golden haze of change, growth, and new possibilities. That's why I named this channel Autumn Haze, because I know I'm not the only one traveling through this transition, experiencing its beauty while navigating its challenges. I want this to be a space where we can share, learn, and support one another. Maybe even build a small community of like-minded souls who are redefining life at 50 and beyond. While my channel style is faceless and automated, my message is intentional and deeply personal. I'll still share glimpses of my real journey, my travels, my experiences, my transformation through authentic videos and photos. Faceless content allows me to show up consistently without the anxiety of being on camera. And for now, that's how I'm choosing to navigate this space. And when our community grows, maybe we'll create an even closer space, like Patreon, where I can connect with you all more personally. But for now, in today's video, I want to share with you the key areas I'm focusing on in my journey of starting over at 50. And if you stick around until the end, I'll reveal a bonus area that has made all the difference. Let's talk about it. It might feel like the decision to change your life happens in a single moment, like a lightning bolt, an epiphany, a sudden realization. But in truth, the thoughts, the feelings, the quiet knowing have often been there, simmering beneath the surface for years. So what causes that final push? What makes us suddenly wake up and say, enough? It's time to change? For me, I believe it comes down to one word: authenticity. The older you get, the less tolerance you have for living a life that doesn't align with who you really are. The things that once seemed necessary, chasing careers, following the expected path, meeting society's unspoken checklist, start to lose their grip. And the things that matter, peace, joy, fulfillment, become non-negotiable. I spent decades doing what I had to do. I pursued my career, not necessarily out of deep passion, but because survival demanded it. I needed a roof over my head. I needed stability. I needed to navigate life alone because, well, who else was going to do it for me? And then there's the question I've been asked more times than I can count. Why didn't you ever marry? Have kids? The truth? I feel like something broke in the generations before mine. The natural path to marriage and meaningful partnership seemed to fragment somewhere along the way. It became harder to find, harder to trust, harder to believe in. I've had relationships, some wonderful, some difficult, but none I could see myself committing to for life. And yet I still hold hope. But here's the real struggle that no one talks about. Being single at this stage of life is hard. For past generations, marriage often provided built-in support, a partner to share the weight of midlife's responsibilities, a shared burden, a team. But today, there are more of us than ever walking this road alone. Society sees us as free, fancy-free, carefree, worry-free. But the reality is far from that. When you're single at this stage, the buck always stops with you. Every bill, every decision, every challenge. If you don't work, you don't live. There's no built-in safety net. And yet, despite all of this, I made the choice to start over, to step away from the life that no longer fit, to reimagine what the second half of my life could look like, on my terms. This is what my autumn haze journey is about. Not just surviving, but thriving. Not just existing, but choosing joy, purpose, and authenticity in this new season of life. And if you're walking a similar path, know this: you are not alone. We may be rewriting the script of midlife, but we're doing it together. Making the decision to start over isn't just about wanting change. It's about committing to it, knowing the risks, and standing firm despite the uncertainty. As a solo ager, there is no built-in safety net. No one to break my fall if things go wrong. No financial cushion from a spouse. No second income to soften the blow. Every decision I make is mine alone. And if I fail, I bear the full weight of that failure. And that terrified me. I spent years thinking about change, wondering what if, searching for answers. I knew about side hustles. I'd even tried a few in the past, but none had taken off. Could they really sustain me now? Could they replace my income while I built a new life? Or was I making a terrible mistake? I won't lie, I clung to my job for security, even when I knew it wasn't what I wanted, even when I knew I was unfulfilled. Because security meant survival, and without a safety net, the risk felt too great. And then there were the voices of other people's fears. The people around me weren't exactly cheering me on, not because they didn't care, but because they did. If I failed, it would be them picking up the pieces, and they made it clear they couldn't. I have family, but they have families, their own responsibilities, their own priorities. So I realized something that no one talks about. Starting over isn't just your decision, it impacts everyone around you. And many of them won't understand. Many will think you've lost your mind. But I feel like I've finally found it. I know the level of challenge I'm facing. I know that the path I've chosen won't be easy. And yes, I am afraid, but I'm doing it anyway. Because fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're about to do something that matters. Because starting over means betting on yourself. And I've finally decided to place that bet. I know a lot of you probably expected that when it comes to starting over, the first thing I talk about would be money. But for me, it actually comes second. That's because before you even get to the money, you have to decide whether this change is truly right for you, whether you can sustain it, and whether you're willing to navigate the risks. But here's the part that makes me nervous. I'm still figuring this out myself. Money is a work in progress for me, and honestly, my financial plan is kind of a hot mess. I thought long and hard about how I'd make money in a way that could cover my daily needs, my rent, my bills, my travel, my hobbies, and my savings. Sounds like a tall order, right? Because it is! Especially when before this, I was working every hour under the sun in a job that didn't give me the time or flexibility to enjoy my life. So here's what I did. I didn't quit completely. Instead, I reduced my hours in my former career, keeping a small stream of income to help me stay afloat. The rest, I had to figure out through side hustles. Like many of you, I've been told that YouTube is the way to create a side income. And I believe that, except that I've failed at it a couple of times. I shared in my last video that facing the camera and constantly dolling myself up just wasn't for me. It drained me. That's why I switched to faceless, automated style videos, focusing on creating valuable and engaging content instead of worrying about being camera ready all the time. And if you're considering YouTube, I highly recommend it, whether you want to be on camera or go faceless like me. If you want to know more about how I made this shift, check out my last video. I've linked it in the description and the card above. Do you have any advice for me? What's worked for you in starting over financially? So if you're starting over at 50 plus, 40 plus, or whenever, you have to think about money. Even if you have a dream, the reality is that money keeps a roof over your head. And sometimes you have to piece it together with a mix of income sources. By middle age, especially as solo agers, many of us have learned to rely on ourselves, and society expects us to. People assume that because we don't have spouses, kids, or grandkids, we have all the time in the world to carry their burdens. Need someone to pick up extra responsibilities? Ask the single person. Need someone to rearrange their schedule for a family event? The single one will do it. Need someone to take care of something no one else wants to? Yep, the single one again. And the craziest part? Some of them genuinely think they're doing us a favor, keeping us from being lonely. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my circle. I have good people in my life. But many don't realize that support should go both ways. Just because my life doesn't look like theirs doesn't mean my needs don't exist. I need their support in pursuing my dreams. And that's where the imbalance often shows up. Here's what I've noticed when it comes to support. Some assume you'll fail. They think supporting you means they'll have to pick up the pieces when things don't work out. Some think you'll need money. They don't want to bail you out financially, even though you've helped them at a moment's notice when they needed it. Some think your dreams aren't as important as theirs. They assume their family, career, or obligations take priority, and that yours are secondary. And here's the real eye-opener. Society still places more value on married people and families when it comes to community support. If you're married and struggling, people jump in to help. If you're single and struggling, you must have done something wrong. That's the message we receive, even if we're doing everything right. This is why, if you're going to start over and truly change your life, you need to evaluate who's in your corner. And not just your inner circle. You need an inner circle of people who believe in you and actually say it. Encourage you without assuming you're going to fail. Celebrate your wins, not just come around when you're struggling. Give as much as they take, because support should be mutual. This doesn't mean cutting people off, though for some that might be necessary. It means recognizing who is truly capable of being there for you in a meaningful way. And if your current circle isn't giving you that support, it's time to find people who will. If you're thinking, but where do I even find a supportive community? I hear you. This is where intentional connection comes in. And honestly, maybe even right here. That's why I created this channel, because I know I'm not alone in this experience. I know so many of you are also navigating this phase of life, figuring it out as you go. Maybe becoming an autumn hazer, being part of this channel's growing community, will help you feel less alone in this journey. Maybe we can create something that empowers each other, keeps us motivated, and helps us thrive. So make sure you subscribe, because let's be real. It's not about whether we can handle things alone. It's about knowing we don't have to. If you're thinking about making a big life change, there's one other thing you absolutely cannot overlook: building your emotional and mental strength. And I don't just mean saving a little bit of energy for when you might need it down the road. No, that won't cut it. When you decide to step into a more meaningful and intentional life of freedom, your emotions will feel that freedom too, and they'll try to overpower you. Every fear, every doubt, every anxiety, every hesitation, you will feel all of it, and it will be overwhelming. That's why you need resilience. Not just a little, but a deep, unwavering, unshakable resilience that will not allow you to give up when things get tough. Your emotions will try to sabotage you. You need emotions. They fuel your passion, keep you driven, and make life worth living. But they can also derail you if you're not strong enough to manage them. Other people's emotions will try to pull you back. Even those who love you will struggle to accept your journey. Some will try to talk you out of it. Some will project their own fears onto you. Some will flat out oppose your choices. You need to be mentally prepared for this, not just to handle your own doubts, but also the doubts of others. If you don't strengthen your resilience, your plans will unravel. Nothing can destroy your progress faster than being unprepared for resistance. You must be ready for it. You don't develop resilience overnight. It's a muscle you build over time, and here's how to strengthen it. Anticipate every obstacle, emotional and practical. Write down all the fears, concerns, and obstacles you might face, both from yourself and from others. Identify which ones are facts and which ones are just fears or projections. Debunk the myths. Separate what's real from what's just an emotional response. For example, I'm too old to start over. Not a fact. People reinvent themselves at all ages. I need to ensure financial stability as I transition. A fact that needs a plan. Once you uncover the real barriers, you can strategize solutions and stop letting fear dictate your decisions. Prepare your arguments like a lawyer. Rehearse your reasons, embody your beliefs, expect tests, and learn to pass. Then life will always test you anyway, again and again. Now let's talk a little about time. That one thing every single person on this planet has the same amount of in a day. Yet somehow, society assumes solo people have more of it. I don't know how that math works, but let's break it down. When there are two people, don't tasks get divided in half? When you have older children, doesn't that free up even more time for household tasks? But when you're solo, everything falls on you. Yet somehow we're seen as having more free time. And don't get me wrong, I love and want to be married one day, but the right long-term meaningful connection just hasn't happened yet. Maybe this new journey of reinvention will open doors I never expected, even in love. Who knows? But for now, I had to reimagine how I view and use time. Because time, my autumn hazers, is everything. When I started this journey, I had to unlearn everything I knew about structured time from my corporate career. Time doesn't magically free up in this new life. It needs to be crafted, structured, and protected. People will judge you for how they perceive you spend your time, but you need to define what works best for you. You're going to need to keep up your motivation. You know that spark of energy that makes you believe you can conquer anything? The feeling that pushes you to finally start that side hustle, travel, write, create, change careers, or reinvent yourself. But here's the problem: motivation fades. One of my favorite motivational speakers, Zig Ziglar, once said, "People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily." Facts. Because how many times have you felt fired up about doing something, only for a small delay, a setback, or self-doubt to completely drain that energy? The truth is, motivation isn't automatic. It has to be cultivated and replenished daily. And if you want to successfully start over and transform your life at 50 plus, or any age, motivation will be your engine. Your dream is the vehicle, your passion is the fuel, but without the tricky part, you don't know how long this journey will take. Maybe success will come quickly for you. Maybe it'll be a slow climb. That's why you have to build motivation into your daily life and use small wins to keep your momentum going. Sometimes motivation isn't there at all. Motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something you build. Small wins matter more than you think. The journey should fuel you, not just the outcome. So keep moving, keep tracking wins, and keep believing in your dream. Autumn hazers, here's that bonus area I spoke about. If there's one thing that has completely shifted my mindset while starting over at 50 plus, it's this: gratitude. Yes, I still have bills to pay. Yes, I still have uncertainty ahead. Yes, people around me are skeptical about the choices I've made. But you know what? I get to try. I have the opportunity to carve out a new life on my terms, and that alone is something to be grateful for. When you're rebuilding your life, it's easy to focus on what you don't have yet: the steady income, the comfort of security, the unwavering support of others. But here's the truth: your past wasn't all bad. Even if you've had struggles, there were still moments of joy, lessons learned, and people who helped along the way. Your present has more than you think. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you have resources, skills, and opportunities that others can only dream of. Your future is shaped by what you appreciate now. The more grateful you are, the more you'll recognize the possibilities in front of you, instead of focusing on the obstacles. Friends, gratitude is the key to moving forward, I won't lie. This journey isn't easy. Some days, self-doubt creeps in. Some days I feel stuck. Some days I wonder if I've made a mistake. But then I stop and think, I'm still here. I'm still trying. I'm still moving towards something that feels right. And for that, I am grateful. So, autumn hazers, what's one thing you're grateful for today? If you've enjoyed this video today, please do give this video a like. It really helps. Subscribe to join the community and follow my journey. Share this video with someone who's thinking about starting over in life. Thank you so much for watching, for supporting, and for being part of this journey with me. Until the next video.